When Misha first came to me and said that he felt like he wanted to be a cat, I just had an awful response. I was totally unsupportive, and I still feel really guilty about that. My whole identity had been formed about being a dog owner. Our community was about being a part of a dog community. Most of our friends were dog people, decidedly dog people, not cat people. And so I just felt like, who am I going to be? If you're no longer a dog, then who am I going to be?
At first, you know, I overreacted a bit, but now knowing that she just identifies as a cat, I think that I really understand it. I mean, I could always see those parts of her. Since she's made the choice to not transition and to just occupy cat space as a dog, it really has just opened our relationship up more to be able to communicate about the ways that she feels limited as a dog and what it means to her to really feel like a cat.
For a while, I thought, you know, that there was a biological or hereditary element because both of my sister's pets are trans animals. As the situation has progressed, I've sort of gotten a lot more convinced that this is really an issue of Lucy not feeling good about who she is as a cat, and she somehow feels that because of all of the greater social supports for dogness, that's the viable option for her.
Avalon came to me really early in her decision-making process, and I think a lot of that is that she trusted me, you know, and she knew that I was going to be supportive of whoever and whatever she wanted to be. I think that she really trusted that, you know, my intentions are always to be there and be supportive of everyone, human, animal, you know, anyone, you know, becoming their fullest self. You know, I wasn't attached to her dogness. That wasn't why I loved her. You know, I loved her for her. I loved her in her soul. I love her for everything that she is.
The first stages were really narcissistic. It's about me. How does it reflect on me? What do I think? And then it was about, and then it became about him. And then it's just like, if I love you, I'm going to love you in whatever form you come in. If you're in a bear, if you're in a lion, if you're in a tiger, if you're in a cat, and we'll just work through whatever we have to work through together.
Sometimes it's incredible to me the ways that we relate beyond any sort of definition. For example, you know, the other day, someone came to the door and she actually barked, and I was shocked. Cats don't do that, so it took me back immediately, and then I realized, you know, she still has the space to do that. She's part dog also.
I guess one of the biggest challenges for us is that I am allergic to cats, so I have to go through a physical transformation of my own to feel safer in the cat community. You know, like I have to work through my own issues to be fully ensconced in the cat community. And also recognize that even if, like, our identity as a companion and a pet has shifted more to a cat community, I might still have relationships in the dog community that Misha might not feel so comfortable in anymore.
Here we have all of these animals who have, like for Lucy, you know, spent years sort of really embracing catness, and then all of a sudden they're in this whole transitional phase and moving into this canine milieu, and it's like they just turn their backs on all of their old friends and their whole reality and who they used to be.
Lulu is really one of those cat dogs that she's definitely in competition with other cats. She's not interested in befriending them at all, and she really has this fierce kind of high priestess bitch that comes out. So, you know, luckily enough, she doesn't feel like she wants a cat community. if she did, if she decided that she does in the future, I don't know, that would be a really hard step for me.
Pretty soon into the process of Avalon transitioning, it became clear that there were a lot of people in this situation. A lot of people were going through the same emotions and changes and everything, and, you know, animals and people, and really looking for that same kind of community. But the question was, where do you find it? You know, how do you find each other? And we pretty immediately went to work, Avalon and I, at founding an organization called Pause It, people who support animals in transition. So there are support groups for animals who are transitioning. There are separate support groups for cats transitioning to dogs and dogs transitioning to cats, just so that there's sort of a safe space for dealing with the specifics of the issues that come up. And then we also have larger group things. You know, and those are usually more social events. There are picnics and, you know, potlucks and, you know, group outings to the park, or sometimes, you know, something in the house that's a little bit more, you know, a little easier, I think, for the ones who are transitioning to cat. We've had forums where we've had experts talking about issues of sort of the more binary, dualistic system between animals and how that's kind of a false dichotomy. And, you know, a little bit about some of the, you know, historically. We had a whole forum recently about the historical nature of trans animals and tranny pets, and realized that there are a lot of animals that we all know and love who actually are, you know, are trans animals. You know, they're not out of the closet. There's not that room for that, obviously, in Hollywood with all of its, you know, stereotypes and sort of pigeonholing animals and people. But, you know, animals like Benji, Morris, you know, these are all trans animals. You know, it's well documented.
And I'm very glad that you're here today. I feel the goddess is here in the room with us, and we are here to love and honor our animals and ourselves.
I grew up in a world where being born a kitten meant that you would grow up into a cat, and I'm really having a hard time with the whole concept.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate for 1 second. What about Simone de Beauvoir's famous quote, "One is not born a cat, but rather one becomes one"?
I think there's judgment about, you know, different, like, I mean, you know, it's going to be a different kind of cat. And I just feel like...
How much does Misha weigh?
He's just going to be a big cat. There are bigger cats and smaller cats, okay?
There seems to be issues around sizeism with what a cat should look like, issues around maybe privilege as far as canine privilege versus, you know, the lack of feline privilege in our culture.
There's a lot less, like, things you get for a cat. There's no leashes, there's
so,
I
it
like
works
those
for
little
you
rhinestone
on a
kitty
political level
collars.
as
They're
well
so
as a
cute.
practical level.
The rhinestone kitty ones are so cute.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
The rhinestone kitty collars, I think, are so cute. Yeah, I had to put like 7 together to fit around Lisa's neck, but I love them.
Does Lucy want to play fetch the ball yet?
What are you talking about, fetch the ball? She's a cat. She's supposed to be playing the cat dancer.
We're here to support
But
each
it's
other.
not about
We're here to
you.
support each other and get along.
Let's have just a bit of a
Come
timeout
on.
here and regroup. And I think this is important work. Let's all come back next week. We all are in different places, and I think we all need to do a little homework. How can we learn to be more supportive?
You know, I'm trying. I really am trying. But every day is a challenge. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. You know, she insists on the Alpo at this point. She has really put her foot down about that. And then, then the other day she insisted that I get her this collar that, this is ridiculous. I mean, this, I look at this and I don't think Lucy. When she started insisting that I take her out to the dog park, I just felt like that, there's no way this is going to be credible. So we have both really struggled with that, and I just have to take it really day by day at this point.
Recently we took a trip. There was a convention, a trans species convention in New York, and he really wanted to go, and we flew, and I had to put him in a cat box. Like, it clearly was marked as a cat box. And so there was some confusion with the airport people and things like that, and I just had to support him totally, and I think that's the process you go through. And I think when your animal is further along, then some of the there are different challenges.
Avalon has really taken this very far, and when we talk about trans animals, we don't necessarily mean animals that have undergone this, the kind of surgery and changes that she's gone through. But she really wanted to push it that far, and she does pass. I mean, she passes. There's. You walk down the street with her, or actually usually now we stay in pretty much, but if people come over, there's no sense that she was a dog. I mean, if I show her, if I show friends her puppy pictures, they don't believe it, But she was, and she really wanted, the dog body wasn't working for her.
If she had actually decided to transition into a cat, my having transitioned wouldn't have aided me in seeing that. It would have actually blocked it, because it would have meant that I had to, all of my stuff about myself transitioning, I would have put that on her. Having her be okay with being a cat dog and not wanting to make a physical transition, it's actually, I see the ways that she still is a dog. And I feel okay with the ways that I still am a female.
As a cat to dog trans animal, she's definitely in the minority. It's just there are not as many animals in that situation, and so I have concerns for what that's going to mean for her, and I just am worried about how she's going to be treated by the world.
What I'd most like to see is a world where we don't have to have POSIT. A world where we don't have to have support groups and it's all hush-hush and we have to talk in quiet voices with our shame and our feeling of isolation and marginalization. A world where we can, and the animals can just be, and it's not such a big deal.
All you hipsters giving me lip. I'm a Trananimal, a